Hello everyone and welcome to the Pageant Perspective Podcast. I am your host Candice Freeman, and on this podcast we go beyond the sash, unveiling stories and celebrating beauty. Today I'm joined by an exceptional woman. Her name is Carolyn Botha. Carolyn Botha is the CEO of Pageant South Africa and Africa Pageants. She is known globally and has numerous prestigious accolades. She has dedicated over 4 decades of her life to the world of pageantry and is known as the mother of pageantry in South Africa, Africa and worldwide. Ladies and gentlemen, Carolyn Botha.
Hi Candice, thank you for having me today.
It's a great pleasure having you here today. I did do a small introduction of you, but I don't know if I did any justice to it. Would you please introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure, no problem. Good afternoon everybody, my name is Carolyn Botha. I am the CEO of Africa Pageants and Pageants SA. And as Candice said, I've been in the industry for over 4 decades, 45 years to be exact. And I have crowned in that time almost 10,000 title holders who have gone out into the world and made exceptional changes in their communities. And that's what pageantry is about. So thank you. Thank you for having me today.
Awesome stuff. Carolyn, can we just start with where did you start? With pageantry. How did you get into the world of pageantry? The very beginning.
All right. So I was in high school. And the Transvaal Education Department came around the school.
Okay.
And they were advertising that they were doing courses on photography, on modeling, on hairdressing, flower arranging, and goodness knows what else.
Okay.
So when they mentioned the modeling, I thought, this is something I really think I'd love to do. And I went home and I spoke to my mom and I said, look, can I please go and do modeling? She says, you're already doing dancing. You're already doing drum majorettes. You're already an athlete at school.
Yeah.
Your plate is full. Now you want to add another evening a week with a course. I'm going, Mom, it's not just a course, it's for 5 years.
Oh, my word.
So she said, okay, well, you want to do it? Go for it. So I had the absolute privilege of having an amazing teacher and a mentor. Her name was Cecilia, and she mentored me throughout those 5 years as a teacher at the Transvaal Education Department. And I got all my diplomas there. We went through everything from doing your physical part of pageantry, your theory, including looking after your body emotionally, physically, mentally. So it was a very, very concise course over a period, like I said, of 5 years. And I then got my teachers from the education department. So I have all my diplomas.
Okay.
And I think I'm probably the only one in the country that has all the diplomas from all the years. And I then continued after that. And I got further education through Epic International, which is from America.
Okay.
So I then got all my judging courses done, event planning, organizing. So I continued with that studies. And all on top of that, became a beauty therapist, a qualified beauty therapist.
Wow.
So that was the start and the beginning of getting into the industry. I was then the face of Helene and Rubenstein, which was a makeup product. And I was on all their boxes and their packaging.
Sure.
Massive big makeup brand.
Amazing, yeah.
I was the head model for Edgar's and for Sheenie's.
Oh,
for
my
many
word.
years, did all the fashion shows. So I was a professional model for a number of years.
Wow.
And I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Sure.
And then went into business with my late husband, had children, and my daughter, one day she was sitting on the chair and she was a real little Miss Priss. And I thought, what, I need to put her to modelling lessons.
Yeah.
I need to hone this confidence that I see in her, because that's what modelling does.
Yeah.
It just makes you so confident.
Give her the platform.
And I put her to modelling lessons, and before I knew, we were walking in London one day, and they came up and said, please, will you come and enter the Little Miss United Kingdom? And I'm going, we're from South Africa. I said, well, my daughter is British. She's got a British passport. And they said, oh, well, come enter. I said, but I don't have pageant clothes, nothing. No, we sponsor the whole lot. So she ended up winning Little Miss United Kingdom. subsequently winning Little Miss Universe.
Okay.
And I decided, no, this was a platform that I had to bring to South Africa that was an honest, fair and unbiased judging, where anyone could enter, no matter where they were from, what background, and they would have a fair chance of winning the title.
Wow. And then, Ms. Carolyn, can you just explain to us how many pageants, how many grand finales you have in a year?
Okay, at present we're down to 14.
14, that's so much. I just want to know, what's your work ethic? How do you get behind all of that, and what keeps you going?
Seeing the progress of the models and seeing how some of them actually throw themselves into their time as a finalist, the winners afterwards. There's a small percentage that actually do go and work their titles, but I've seen how it helps them grow.
Yeah.
A lot of my title holders get their school colours and school honours, because Pageants SA is the only company that is actually acknowledged by the education department to allow the contestants to get their colours and honours badges and blazers. So that's my drive. It's an 18-hour day, 7 days a week. There isn't a day off. But if you love what you do, is it work?
Yeah.
It's not work if you love it.
Yeah, that's true. Then there's something else I want to mention, is that you have an Olympic gold medal bestowed by the Bulgarian president.
I do.
You have an honorary recognition from World League of Beauty and Fashion in Turkey. You got the Phenomenal African Woman Award and also World Class Excellence Award from Japan.
That's right.
Which one is your favorite? Do you have a favorite one?
The Olympic. The Olympic one, because that was a setup.
Oh my word, imagine getting an Olympic medal. Oh my word.
I was actually set up with that one, and I didn't know at the time.
Okay.
I was hosting the Little Miss Universe at Sun City, and I had the director from Bulgaria, who was out with all these contestants.
Okay.
And he came up to me and said, I need to know how much to win. And I'm going, I don't understand what you're talking about. We've done all the judging. We've done what we need to do. But I was getting the inkling of what he was asking, okay?
Yeah.
And I said, no.
Yes.
We're going to crown winners tonight. You've already paid your entry fees. There's no more money to be paid. No, but how much to win?
Oh, wow.
And I said, no, there's no more money to pay. And I had just lost my husband. He just passed away. And I was as broke as a church mouse.
Sure.
I had no money. And he said, no, 5,000 each, meaning $5,000 each. And he had 5 contestants. Now go back 25 years. $5,000 25 years ago was a lot of money. It was a heck of a lot of money. And I just stuck to my guns and I said, no, I'm sorry. This is what we're doing, and that's it. Anyway, he went back to Bulgaria, and the next year he came back. And he said, you passed the test.
Wow.
And I said, what do you mean? Then suddenly he could speak fluent English.
Oh.
And he said, no, you passed the test for our president. And I said, I'm not sure what you mean. And he came out with this medal and a certificate. And I was absolutely blown away.
Sure.
So he said, no, this is now from the president, because you were not going to budge. He says, I tried everything with you and you didn't budge. And I've kept that ethics throughout my entire career.
And I think you've set a good example for everyone else out there, because some people look at an industry and they think, oh, this is how I'm going to make it. And they think that's what it is. But then there's people like you who are, phenomenal woman in the industry, phenomenal person in this industry. You've built it, and they can see that this is truth and trustworthy.
Yeah.
Definitely. How does it feel being known as the mother of pageantry?
Well, I don't know how I got that name. Suddenly people were calling me the mother of pageantry, and I'm very honoured that people see me in that light. It humbles me tremendously to think that I've made such a difference in so many people's lives, that they can see me as their pageant mom.
Yes.
A lot of the ladies, and even in my Mrs. Africa pageant, they all call me mom.
Wow.
Which is phenomenal. And I'm like a real mother hen around my title holders. I'm very protective of them, as with all my pageants.
Yes.
But it's very nice to know that there are so many people that are sort of pleased with what I do.
And the title mother itself, even if you're just a mother to your kids, that's a beautiful, strong, awesome title to have.
Absolutely.
And then you've crowned over 8,000 title holders.
Correct.
What would you say, how do you identify success in a contestant?
I think success begins when the contestant takes the title seriously.
Okay.
So when they decide, right, we've been crowned as, let's say, Miss Junior South Africa, and they really work that title, and they work their year of reign, making a difference and going beyond, that is the success I would like every title holder to have. And I've actually got one lady, she came into our group about 2016 when she entered our Mrs. Africa pageant, and she was absolutely phenomenal. Her name is Bianca Burney, and she just does not stop. Every single weekend she has a function, a fundraiser. Every week she hands out approximately 1,500 books to schools.
Wow.
She's distributed, I think it's over 1,000 living balls. She's been to the DRC to distribute the Dignity Dreams, which is a washable, reusable sanitary towel. We support Dignity Dreams as our charity of choice with all of our pageants. And I then crowned Bianca the Queen of Africa. And she just carried on and carried on and carried on. And they say a rolling stone gathers no moss, but she was just gathering like a snowball, just becoming absolutely incredible.
Yes.
And I then said, no, she has to now be my Queen, African Queen Ambassador. And she carried that title for 2 years. And in March this year, I gave her the title Queen of Queens.
Wow.
Because I believe that you cannot get a higher title than that.
And, pageantry is about the community. It is about giving back to the people. And you yourself, you've also helped with Goiter disease, am I correct?
Yes, with Goiter.
Goiter, okay.
So we've paid for 19 operations in the DRC, where ladies suffer with the endemic goiter. They eat the roots of a cassava plant, and it actually causes the neck to become very inflamed and swollen, and it really grows quite grotesque. And they can't eat or swallow anymore, and it starts hampering their breathing as well.
Sure.
So we managed to raise funds through the Africa pageant, and we paid for the goiter operations in the DRC, of which one was a man as well.
Okay.
There was a man in Potch who was a car guard, and through standing for hours and hours in the hot sun, sweaty feet, and that he had diabetes, he actually developed a massive big sore under his foot, and they wanted to amputate his leg. And we managed to actually do wound care and treatments on him, and we saved his feet.
Wow.
And had special boots made for him, so that when he is out, he hasn't got the pressure under the soles of his feet. We built a school in Mozambique, and every year we supply the school with all their stationery and needs for the school.
Yes.
And we've done that now for 5 years. So there's a lot. We've done over 100,000 packs of the Dignity Dreams pads. So yes, that's just
the tip
just
of
the
the
tip. You don't have
iceberg.
enough time.
And then you were in business before with your
Yes.
husband. May his soul be at peace. Can you maybe tell me how did being in business affect you in your business in pageantry, or your work in pageantry rather?
Well, look, it taught me that back then, I'd sort of come out of school. I had my own little beauty salon that I was running, but I needed more. I needed more work. I'm a person that thrives on being busy. I don't know when last I had a day off.
Okay.
And my husband and I went into business doing windscreen repairs and replacements. And it was the challenge every day to do another repair more than I did the day before. And eventually my target was 100 repairs in one day, and I achieved that. And that was great. And with my husband and I, we built up a massive business. We had 15 branches countrywide. And we eventually sold it, and all our branches became GlassFit, which still exists to this day. And I've actually just recently been approached to sort of get back into the glass game. So I am considering it.
Okay.
And thinking about it. But pageantry is still my love. But being in the glass and the windscreen industry, it was a cutthroat business. And it taught me that resilience is
Resilience, definitely.
unless you can keep up the pace, you'll never make it.
Carolyn, you've been all over the world with pageantry, and I'm sure you've witnessed the different cultures and how different pageants around the world work. What would you say is the difference between, you know, South Africa and overseas countries, you know, culturally and otherwise with pageantry?
Okay, so we went to America for quite a number of years. I think it was about 15 years we did the American pageants.
Okay.
And I became to realize that the Americans want the Americans to win at the end of the day. That we would never win the overall main titles. And I realized that I was actually financially breaking families.
Sure.
By putting them in a position where they were doing all this fundraising to go to an American pageant where we as South Africans would not stand a chance. The Americans, I'm sure, are literally born singing and dancing. We don't even come close with our standard of dancing and talent. Our talent on an international stage is very substandard. Unfortunately, we don't have the dedication of girls who do both modelling and pageantry
I see.
to win anything talent-wise. We've got extremely talented dancers in the country, don't get me wrong, but those are the dancers that are not doing the modelling.
Yeah, they are.
So unless you are brilliant at both, you're not going to be successful.
Yeah.
So the American pageants are very glitzy and glamorous, and it happens in a ballroom, and they have fancy staging and lighting and sound and all of that, or in a theatre, and it's absolutely lovely. It's big, it's exciting, but 99.999% of the participants are Americans.
Okay.
So I don't see that being an international pageant. And I just came to realize that we were actually wasting our time. So I gave up on the American pageants.
Sure.
With the last one, I took 2 phenomenal girls. I had groomed them for 2 years into winning, and they were up there. Even Brownie Govender,
Yes.
who was our Miss South Africa Universe, she even went with me to the American pageant. And they didn't understand her dance and her talent. And she came runner-up out of 180 girls. And I'm going, but just because you don't understand our culture, that doesn't mean that the girl cannot win
Yes,
the title.
that's true, yes.
And the Americans are very squared off, okay? They don't have room for understanding somebody else's culture. They're bigger, they're better, and anybody else is very, very substandard.
Yeah.
And I say that with respect, having been there so many times and having attended the American pageant so many times. The South American pageants are very beauty orientated.
Okay.
I found there, unless you are absolutely drop-dead gorgeous, perfect, cut out of that perfect mold, you're not going to cut it there.
I see, okay.
So we did give the South American pageants a go. And then the European pageants, we found are very likable to becoming more friendly. Okay. They're more inclusive, where the contestants are encouraged to sort of enjoy each other's company, go and do little dances together, go and do like a little kids club or whatever.
Yes.
So it's more inviting and accommodating to everybody around the world. Because no matter what your culture is, I've seen girls and boys from all over the world winning in the European pageants.
Oh, that's great.
So that gave me confidence to support the Little Miss World, the Miss Teen World, Miss Teen Universe, and Little Miss Universe pageants in Turkey.
Okay, that's quite broad.
Yeah.
And then with the many pageants that you run, how do you keep each pageant relevant and impactful? Because I mean, you know, you have your mind all over the place. Okay,
Yes.
maybe not. Maybe you're very organized. And you're very
You don't want to
focused.
see my office.
Yeah, no, they say that's what happens. You know, the office is always the evidence. But how do you keep it impactful and relevant and going each and every pageant?
Look, I have my various WhatsApp groups with the contestants, and I sort of try and keep the encouragement going, and I base it on the level of the pageant. So, in other words, for a pageant like Miss Junior SA, we really want to see a well-rounded, well-spoken, really poised, confident individual who's going to come onto the stage and be your next Miss South Africa, because we are the lead up to Miss South Africa.
Yes.
Pageants SA with the Miss Junior South Africa has the historical history of being the lead up to Miss South Africa. When I started with the Miss Tiny, the Miss Petite, and the Miss Preteen South Africa pageants, Miss South Africa was then owned by Sun International. And I actually went to them and I said, look, I'd like to host a pageant here, but I want your blessing on this, that this can be the lead up going forward so that our winners get the grounding that they need to become Miss South Africa one day. And we've proved that. We've had so many of our girls in top 12, so many of our girls win. It's been incredible. So
that's good.
Each pageant has its various relevance. Our Mrs. Africa, for instance, is very community orientated. Community orientated.
Yes.
It's very empowering. We want women to take back their identities. So many married ladies start losing their identities because they become a wife, a mother, they work. Their days are monotonous. And I find when I throw a curveball at them with a pageant, I take them out that comfort zone and they find themselves.
Yes.
And it's a complete journey to finding themselves. My Mrs. Africa from a few years ago has just released her first book.
Wow.
Which is incredible. And she actually lives here in Alberton.
Nice.
An amazing lady, Lucinda Peterson. And she's just now written a book about her journey in her life, which is what this is about.
Yes.
So, yes, each pageant is relevant. I'm not going to try and explain each one to you now. There's a lot, so we're not going to go through each and every single one.
Yeah.
But then there's others that are just one-day pageants, where you come on the day, you enter, do the pageant, go home, and it's up to you whether you're going to actually use the power of the sash, which is a phrase that I started many, many years ago, to make a difference, or you're going to hang it up until your next pageant takes place. So using my phrase, power of the sash, I let each individual make that decision of whether they're going to use the power of the sash to create a platform going forward.
Yes.
Or to hang it up, look great on the wall, and move on to the next pageant.
That's true. I like that you mentioned the power of the sash and how it can be used. Can you maybe share some success stories? Because, you know, someone comes from Pageant SA, then maybe they decide they can. That's one route to go. You know, you aim for Miss South Africa and then Miss Universe. What other routes are there and other success stories are there that you can maybe mention?
Look, well, with mine, with the teen girls downwards, we go to Miss Teen World, Miss Teen Universe.
Okay.
For our older girls in the Miss, we've got the Miss Seven Continents, Miss Tourism, Miss Progress International. I've just got a new license for Mrs. Earth International. I have 52 international licenses. So the next step for my winners is to be able to go overseas, should they wish to. But they're never forced. I don't believe in forcing anybody to go out of their comfort zone, and I don't believe in forcing somebody to go into debt for the sake of doing a pageant.
That's true.
That doesn't cut with me. It must be something that's going to come to you naturally and something that you're really going to make the most of. And I must say my success has been 100%. Every time we've entered Miss Teen World internationally or Miss Teen Universe, we've won. We've won Little Miss Universe, Little Miss World. Mr. Teen World, we've won. So we go with the aspect that we're coming home with winners. And I tell everybody, you will be a winner. You're going to make sure you're going to be a winner.
Yes.
Okay, we've had a couple of top threes in America. We had a couple. But for me, that's not what it's about. We want the crown.
Yeah. And then, you know, with what you do, there is an impact on the community.
Yes.
But for the girls personally, for themselves, what impact has your work had on these young girls? How can you say that you've impacted them and, you know, maybe changed their lives around?
Well, I've had ladies that have been on the verge of committing suicide.
Sure.
That I've literally talked them off that cliff, encouraged them to continue with the pageant, to use the platform, to use the voice for what's inside them and affecting them to overcome that difficulty. And that has been very successful. For the teen and the little girls and guys, I've just seen their confidence levels boost beyond.
Yes.
We had one young guy, I'll never forget, he was quite a rebellious little lad. He was a young boy when he started, and we had a TV interview with him, and he refused to come out of the cupboard. I'm not going to mention his name, I'm not going to embarrass you, but you know who you are. And eventually, this young boy is now a teacher at school in the UK.
Wow.
And you'd never say he was that shy, timid little boy that wouldn't come out the cupboard.
Yes.
But the pageants just gave him that power of the sash when he went to an event and everybody said, "Oh, who are you? Tell me about tell me a little bit about yourself." That made such a big difference in so many people's lives, where they feel important, they feel wanted, they feel accepted,
part of a community.
and part of something, that it makes a massive big difference.
That's true.
So that title actually opens doors that possibly may never have been opened before.
That's true. You know, I said to some ladies before, as an observer, when I see them on stage and I think, to be on that stage, do what you do. It's something magnificent. You know, not anyone can just get on a stage and walk and talk and present themselves with that poise. So sometimes girls don't get the title, but I tell them, you overcame something internally. You know, maybe you had doubt, insecurity, you had something playing in the back of your mind. But the fact that you let all of that slide, you know, you overcame something on stage. There's something that you walk away with something, even though it's not the crown, it's not the sash. But you always have to believe that you walk away with something when you go off the stage.
Very much so.
Yes.
And I mean, so many of my winners, they'll stand on the stage and go, "Is it really me?" And I had a lady that won Mrs. Africa now. She turned and she looked at me and went like, "Really? Me?" A year ago, I literally took her by her shoulders and I said, "Go and get on the stage and go and model." She says, "Oh, but I'm afraid of heights." I said, "Well, now's the time to get over it."
Yeah.
I said, "Go and do this."
Yes.
And she did. And then okay, well, maybe I must try the next pageant. And she tried the next one. And now she's just Mrs. Africa.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
You know, with all the years that you've had in this industry, what are some challenges that you faced and how have you overcome them?
All right, the biggest challenge at the moment the industry is facing is copycat titles.
Okay.
There's just too many pageants using the same titles.
Yeah.
I mean, really. My titles are actually trademarked.
Okay.
And then you'll get somebody that'll just come in and they'll add a letter into a title and think that that's okay. It's not okay.
Yeah.
Miss Junior South Africa is Miss Junior South Africa. You can't go and add another name into it and then think it's okay to copy it. And then to blatantly copy my titles 100% that I've been hosting for the last 25 years. That is the biggest problem we have in the industry. And sadly, parents are gullible and they so desperate for their child to win a title that they will go and support these copycat titles, which builds the copycat title up, gives it feet to start growing. And then coaches can't really tell the parents, "Listen, don't go and do it." So they have no option but to support. And then when people see the coaches are supporting it, they think, well, if that coach is supporting, then it must be okay. So it's giving the wrong impression.
I see.
So that is the biggest problem we have in the industry at the moment. And we've got so many moms now that think, oh, well, we've done a pageant, let's go and host a pageant. It's not as easy as it looks.
It's like having an Olympics 2.0 when there's only one Olympics.
Exactly. So that's the biggest problem. And I see now it's becoming a new craze where moms are now becoming international directors. And they now suddenly are running a pageant to send somebody overseas. And they have no idea. They've probably never been out the country themselves. And they've got no idea the mishaps that can happen. Give you an example. We went to Turkey last year in May. And our flight, we missed our flight, our connecting flight. Now, luckily, I don't use online bookings. I have an incredible booking agent. And it was 12:30 at night. And I phoned her and I said, we've missed our flight. I told you we weren't going to make this flight. I know how big the airport is. And she said, okay, let me see what I can do. And we were diverted via Kuwait. Now, any person diverted via Kuwait would be hysterical. We were put on a plane, 5 of us, sit down, shut up, and don't go past these curtains. We were the only people in economy class on our flight from Kuwait to Izmir in Turkey. It was a very scary experience. And if a mother was left with a child in that type of situation, she would never have made it. And for a director to now be a director and go with them and also not know how to handle it, or send the mom and the daughter alone, and sometimes even a child. I've known of a 14-year-old that was put on a flight to somewhere in South America to go to some Miss Teen World or whatever. And this girl got as far as Namibia, and the organizer hadn't done what she was supposed to. It wasn't Miss Teen World, I apologize. It was another pageant. And this girl was left in the middle of nowhere. She couldn't get back. She couldn't carry on. She was unaccompanied. It was a massive problem. And how the mother even thought that it would be a good idea to send a child of that age by herself is quite scary. So, yes, if I could give parents advice, be careful. There's a lot of sharks out there. There's a lot of sharks out there.
Yeah. And we've heard stories of people having pageants with prize money and then that not coming through.
Oh, that happens every weekend.
Every weekend.
You see these beautiful big checks on the stage, but the money never materializes because with the checks comes the fine print. And that's the new thing now, is after you get crowned, you get given a contract. And the contract then says A, B, C, D, and E. So although you've shown this beautiful big check with X amount of money on the stage, if you don't conform to the fine print on the contract, sorry, you're not getting the check. It's a bit lousy.
It's
a bit lousy.
And then you do so much, you judge pageants, not just in South Africa, but across the world. You direct pageants, you're a mother to most of the girls, I'm sure. What's your favorite hat to wear? I know you do a lot in pageantry, and I'm sure in your personal life as well, you're a mother. What's your favorite hat to wear? Could be a director, it could be, I don't know, travel agent.
Taking the photographs.
Really?
Capturing the moments.
Do you take the pictures yourself?
No, I have photographers.
Oh, okay. But you just like that there's pictures and you can see
being there and sort of sneaking a photograph of the girls once they've been crowned, especially overseas.
Yes.
Or doing little mini photo shoots with the girls while they in between their own photo shoots at the pageant. I'll go and grab a couple of sneak photographs.
That's nice.
I love that. My phone is filled with over 70,000 photographs.
Yes.
And I've got more photographs on my phone of other people's children than my own. And my children are not happy about that.
And then you've been in this industry for so many years, and I think you've been successful. You have been triumphant. How would you describe your career in pageantry, your work in pageantry in 3 words? Your experience, your experience in pageantry in 3 words.
Exciting.
Triumphant has to be one.
Triumphant is one, but I think more. But I think I don't think there's a word that can actually describe the fulfillment that I have in pageantry. So at the end of the day, I think fulfillment is probably the best word, because putting in the hard work, putting in the hours and hours of planning, admin, stage building, sashes, because I make my own sashes as well, designing crowns, I design my own crowns, that fulfillment at the end of the pageant, when the last stage piece is packed back in the store, and I sit back and I go, phew, I can breathe for 5 minutes. And then I'm on my phone advertising the next pageant. Yeah. I think it's that moment of gratification and fulfillment, I think, is the actual word where I know I've just fulfilled some young lady or gent's dream.
Definitely, that's so true.
They've achieved what they set out to achieve through my hard work and my dedication.
That's beautiful.
They achieve what they want to.
Yeah, sorry, my eyes tearing. I promise I'm not crying. But that's actually so beautiful. The fact that you know that you had something to offer this person, and this has been their dream, and they've been wanting to get to this. It's beautiful, and you make it a reality, you know.
And the fact that it is an honest reality. I have no input in who the winners are going to be, who they should be or shouldn't be. I leave that up to my panel of judges. I use professional judges who I know are not biased in the industry.
Yes.
And I think being able to sit back and say, whoever's crowned today is truly the deserving winner. Yeah. Not because of money, not because of how many votes that they've done, not because of how many seats they filled in the audience, but because that contestant got up there and she or he did their level best to become the next winner of that pageant.
That's true.
That fulfillment is my greatest achievement. Yeah.
And it's priceless, definitely. I don't think it's something you can buy.
No.
Awesome. And then my last question to you, Carolyn, is how would you like to be remembered? You know, the legacy. I mean, you have been working on this legacy for so many years. How would you like to be remembered at the end of it all?
Just as a stepping stone to somebody's future. That through me, someone was actually able to reach the next rung of the ladder. And for those people, and they'll know who they are, to be grateful for that moment that I was part of their life, whether it's a month, a week, a day, or several years, that time that they had within the Pageants SA family and the Africa Pageants family, that helped them achieve what their goals and their dreams and ambitions were.
Awesome stuff. Do you have any closing remarks? Maybe you want to leave a message to your pageant children before we close off?
I think at the end of the day, just be you. Don't ever come onto a stage and try and be somebody you're not. Be authentic. And remember that the power of the sash opens so many doors. And if you use it wisely, you can make your dreams come true. You really, truly can. Don't be a pageant patty. Don't hop from one pageant to another. Try and win a title and work a title to make it worthwhile. Yes, you do need to do a lot of pageants in between for exercise and practice, but pick one and use that title for the best of your ability during the time that you carry that title. You never see a Miss South Africa going and entering other pageants other than the Miss Universe or Miss Super after she's won. So she keeps her pageant clean. Natasha Jabeur is the epitome of what a winner should be. is where she's actually used her title during her reign for none other than what it was actually for. Hence, she was so emotional when she handed over.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Carolyn. You know, I can feel your authenticity, you know, and you're not a copy. Like you that hard proof that we all need of someone in this industry. And I'm so thankful that you were here today.
Thank you. They stopped recording.
No, not yet.
It's not okay.
I still have to do the closing.
No, it's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome stuff. To our viewers, thank you all so much for watching. Please continue to like, share, and comment on our posts. We really do appreciate your support. From Carolyn Botha herself, the mother of pageantry, and Candice Freeman from the Pageant Perspective Podcast, it's bye.
Thank you. Bye.